Yeah, yeah. Too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad. She got me thinking that she too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad. She got me thinking that she.
What's going on? It's your favorite mobile dance educator, Joel Casanova, with the eyebrows. So welcome to episode 4. I'll be introducing you to your choreography muscles in this episode. So I created the BeatHunter dance community because community matters. I think that people should have access to education that is not putting them in a specific bubble, but gives them tools so they can take into their dance journey, into their regular life. So I'm giving you a gift. What you do with the gift is yours to do. I'm giving you the gift. What you do with it is your choice. There it is. Okay, so yeah, so we talked. This whole month has been choreography. First one was an introduction to what choreography is, the difference between that and freestyling. Then we had a conversation with Sean Labadie. We had some technical difficulties. I'm going to be uploading the redo of that live stream later this week. And so now, like I said, I'm going to be introducing you specifically to 4 choreography muscles. And if you don't want to use the word introduction, or if I don't want to use the word introduction, we're going to be talking about the reframe. The reframe. Reframing is one of the best tools you could possibly use as a human being, let alone as a human being who likes dance or anything in the arts, because reframing is like fact. I'm viewing a fact or viewing a thing in this way. And reframing is like, actually, the Mona Lisa, her head is supposed to be being up, not to the side. And you're like, oh, I understand what actually is being painted right now. Super elaborate analogy. Reframing. Say, these 4 things that we're talking about today are muscles. Okay, so think of all these 4 things as we talk about how they can deteriorate if you don't use them and how you need to build them as a muscle. Okay, very first thing, when it comes to choreography, your first choreography related muscle is coordination. Pretty obvious. Just basic coordination starts and builds with you as you dance. Okay, but we're not just talking about like, can I keep rhythm? We're talking about super base coordination that starts like when you're a baby. Okay, like you're just kind of like existing. And you're like, I'm crying, I'm laughing, I'm smiling, I'm looking up at the ceiling. And then eventually everyone knows just instinctually this kid needs to walk, right? So you're just like basic coordination, right, left, right, left. And that's the coordination that starts growing and growing and growing until eventually you can like clap, or you can raise your hand, or you can do different things. So when it comes to dancing, a lot of people see it as like, I am coordinated, I'm not coordinated. And that's like a reason for me to dance or not. Like, no, you don't understand. I'm not coordinated. I can't. Nope. Versus like, I am coordinated. This is why I dance. When really it's the opposite. Coordination is a muscle you use for dancing. And if you don't have that muscle, you should take dancing to build that muscle. Okay. So if you don't know your rights from your lefts, you're like, you can't put things in order how they're supposed to be. That's something that needs to be built. And so we build it and we push kids to walk as they're babies. And you're like, come on, walk, walk, walk. Until eventually it's like, okay, they can walk. And then 9 times out of 10, it kind of stops there. It's like, well, he can walk. He has this baseline coordination. What else does he need to do? We're done here. And it's like, not necessarily, right? It's a spectrum. And you can build that coordination, but the less you use it, the more it deteriorates like a muscle would. So We start from there. That's number one. Number two is the very technical term that I came up with was information transfer, right? It's really just the mind-body connection, right? So you have in your head certain things that you want to transfer to your body, right? So if you've ever been in a class before, right, and you've seen like say little kids, I teach little kids all the time, and I'm like right hand, and they're like left, and I'm like no, right hand, and they're like left, and I'm like okay, right hand, and they go, and I'm like that's your left hand, so that means your right hand would be, and they're like, and I'm like boom, right? So they're understanding something, like they have a baseline coordination, right? They walked into your class, or they walked into my class if we're talking about one of the classes that I teach. We're building that coordination so that they can take information from the outside and apply it to their body, right? Because coordination is just your body going. Then you're giving extra information that you then have to transfer to your body. You're like, okay, we're going to go right, left, right. And so you have to be like, which one's the right? Which one's the left? Okay, awesome. Right. Cool. So we can do this. And then that muscle then builds on coordination and keeps going to the point where you're thinking, okay, if I go, you're like, okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, cool. And so a lot of times my dancers will get frustrated, or the dancers that I teach will get frustrated because they're like, I know what I need to do, but my body's not listening to me. And it's not that your body isn't listening to you, you're feeling the pressure of going from level 1 to level 2, and level 2 to level 3. When you're in level 1, that feels fine. When you're in level 2, that feels fine. But the transfer from level 1 to level 2, that's where you feel the pressure. That in between, level 1.5, level 2.5, right? So in the same way that it's like, well, I can't, bench press 250 pounds. That means I'm just really bad at picking up choreography. No, false. Not at all, right? You should start, say, at 5 pounds, and then 10 pounds, 50, 80, 90, 100. You've now gone to 100 pounds. You're still not at 250. Okay? Blah, 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 200. Blah, 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 250. You've built that muscle, right? So when I'm taking class, that muscle for me has been built up a lot. So when it comes to choreography, I can pick it up really quickly. And so it's like, boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, awesome, da, 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 right? And so if we don't reframe this into a muscle, this is when like bad dance worldviews comes in, because you can come in and you can pick up choreography instantaneously because that muscle is like swole, right? And the person next to you is struggling to remember and pick up the choreography correctly. And so automatically we say this person's good who picked it up quickly and this person's bad who didn't pick it up quickly. Reframe. Okay? The person who is struggling to pick it up might be able to perform it better than the first person. They might have better freestyling skills than the first person. They might have more creativity and more ideas than the first person. Or at least in dance, right? We're just talking about dance, right? Than the first person. But this person has the ability to pick up choreography quicker. It's just a muscle. You ever seen like dudes like who like go to the gym and they're like, they ain't got a neck, right? It's just like head, shoulders, right? There's no neck. Like the traps and like the lats and their biceps and rippling pectorals, right? And then you look down and their legs look like toothpicks. And you're like, have you ever done a squat in your life before, fam? Like you have thighs and calves and shins. Like you should work on that. Because you have from the waist up, it's like I'm the Schwarzenegger, and from the waist down, it's like you basically like sit in a wheelchair every day of your life. You've never walked on your legs. since you were like 10, right? And so it's just a muscle. Reframe it into that way. If you don't get used to or practice saying, what information am I transferring to my body? That muscle will deteriorate. It won't be as strong versus if I do this, I'm not going to feel very good, but I'm working that muscle out. And then eventually I'll look back and be like, how could I have not have learned this choreography quicker? I can do it now easily. Number 3, which is actually a topic that came up multiple times in this past month when we talked about choreography, and it's choreography retention. Okay, so your brain can pick up choreography or information quicker than your body can. But your body will remember things longer than your mind can. Okay, one more time. Your mind can absorb information quicker than your body. But your body will remember it longer than your brain will, which is why we call it muscle memory. Okay, muscle memory in itself is a muscle that can be built. Okay, so we can talk about how to practice that and what exercises we can do, and what you should do to kind of like run with ankle weights so that when you're trying to remember something, you can take off the ankle weights, and then it'll be easier for you, right? So exercises and how to build that muscle is one thing, but first we need to reframe. This is a muscle. Okay, because it's a muscle, you have to realize that your body will remember information and you have to practice putting it into your body. Your mind will remember information and you have to practice putting it into your body and remembering with your body. And so it's this kind of combination of mind and body, right? We're building the mind-body connection. And so once we got coordination, we built to mind-body connection to retention. So retention is building off the fact that you can transfer stuff from your mind to your body. And so how easily you can put something into your subconscious so that it's like, as soon as a song comes on, you're like, boom, 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 boom. Your mind's not even there. Your body's just going. And you're like, I wonder what we're going to have for dinner today after the performance, right? It's like you are leveling up in that way. You've already put it into your subconscious, really into your body. It's a muscle. Number 4. This one is the most intellectual, I suppose, most personal, or not intellectual is the word. Okay, look, I'll just go for it. So number 4 is the muscle of choice. Okay, episode 1, we started off the month of March with the monthly theme of choreography, right? I said, what is choreography? Choreography, the difference between choreography and freestyling is that I said, this is what we're doing. It's not this, it's not this, it's 1, 2. I'm making that choice. It's now choreography. You've codified these movements in this order, or arranged. You can use that word too. Arrange these movements in this order. I can do that very well, right? Sean can do that very well. Hannah can do that very well. John Smith can do that very well. But it's not a talent. It's a muscle that we built. We had to make the intentional choice to do that. If you don't practice making choices and making choreography, you won't have that muscle. You won't be able to bench the 250, maybe just the 50, right? But if you've been going for forever, right? I'm turning 26 in May, right? 25, turning 26. I started choreographing at 16. I've literally been creating choreography for 10 years. Well, I get 10 years in the summer, or this August, maybe. This year, I will have been choreographing for 10 years. We should throw a party. And BeatHunter's turning 5 in June. Hey, right? So, 10 years of building this muscle to the point where I can walk into a class, which I definitely do a lot when it comes to new classes because I'm not sure what skill level they're at. I can walk into a class and be like, okay, I'm not prepared with any choreography. I can make choreography on the spot and say, okay, ooh, ha, shoot, boom. That's the choreography. That's the first couple counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's our 8 counts of choreography. We're gonna do it. Let's go, right? So I have that ability because I have my choice muscle is strong, right? My choice muscle is like I heard the music and I'm gonna go bum 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 bum, done. I could not have done that at 16, right? And if you are trying to make choreography, or if you've made choreography before, or if you want to in the future make choreography, you have to realize that you making a choice in the choreography is a choice. And so by building this muscle, by making choreography, you're getting to that point. But don't punch yourself in the face if you can't bunch the 250 on the first try. If you can't say the idea of saying, is this what I want? Does that connect with the music? Should I put it in that order? Maybe I should put it in the other order, right? You're not a bad choreographer. You're maybe a weaker choreographer, but if making the choice is a muscle, everyone starts off as a weak choreographer, right? I was teaching a summer camp last year, and one of my students was like, how are you doing this? Like, how are you just able to just do it? And I was like, she was what, 12? She was 12. I've been dancing since I was 11. That's like 15 years. I'm like, I've been dancing for longer than you've been born. Right? I was dancing literally before you were born. Right? Like the OG sentence. I was doing this before you were born. Like, but literally. So to compare is just not this is not the way, right? This is it. It takes the reframe. When someone, or even yourself, or even when I do this, and I'm like, dang, I could have. Why am I not? It's because the reframe has gotten tilted. Reframe. It's the best thing you can do as a human being. It's the best thing you can do as an artist, right? Pause. They're picking up the choreography quicker than I am. Does that mean I'm a bad dancer? Pause. This person, without any choreography in their head, came in front of class and made up an 8 count in front of me and stuck with it the whole class. How? I can't even make 4 counts. Does that mean you're a bad dancer or choreographer? If you don't reframe, absolutely. But you'd be living a lie. And you'd be living with a heavier weight than you should be. When in reality, you can be like, reframe. One day, I'm going to be the dancer with the lats and the traps and the rippling pectorals, right? Not literally, I mean, unless you want to have that physically, but metaphysically, I'm going to be the choreography that can be boom. And you have to make that choice. You have to make that, I'm going to build this muscle. I want to build this muscle, right? If you just need coordination, that's your dance journey. If you're like, I will be the choreographer Kung Fu master, do it, right? It's your dance journey. But while you're doing it, while you are on the way, reframe. Because these 4 choreography muscles are there constantly, right? Especially when you don't have to use all 4, but I'm saying in relation to choreography, all 4 of them are connected. But reframe them as a muscle, because the muscle, the image in your head as a muscle is what's going to change how you view all of your dancing, essentially, in this area.